Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to the week, even though technically we're on Tuesday. Yesterday was Labor Day if you're watching this live later, if you're watching the replay. My name is Jason. I'm a full-time reseller, and I'm here to basically just go live, show you the inside and outsides of my business, chat with you, hang out with you as you as we just connect and talk all things reselling. I've been going live over the last few weeks just to connect with you. So I've got several orders here to ship out. You can kind of see them behind me from several different platforms, and I'm excited to get started and show you what sold. I had a little bit of a slower weekend than normal. I'm typically for Friday to Sunday, I'm in the low to mid 20s on total units going out. And I had about 25. And this is, mind you, considering I also had Labor Day sales in there as well. So from Monday. So for 4 days, I think I had 23 orders. One of those was a bundle for 3 items. So 25 technically, actually 26. I had an Amazon as well. Doesn't matter. But I'm rolling this morning. I've got a couple sales coming in already this morning that I'll show you as well. So I'm here for you and with you, here to connect with you and show you the ins and outs of my reseller business and what I do to make myself successful, to put myself in the position to succeed. Also sharing not just the wins with you, but the losses as well. If I do something, make a mistake, if I'm learning, and as I'm learning and growing, I'm sharing those things with you too. So would love to hear where you're watching from. So as you pop in and say hello, let me know, where are you watching from? I'm in Fayetteville, Arkansas. If you're new to me, new to my channel, my account, just new to me in general as a subscriber. But yeah, I'm in Northwest Arkansas in the Ozarks, and we have got a beautiful day started off already. It's just gorgeous out there. The weather is dropping down. It's been amazing. Just doing a few little that's okay. Let me change that. I'll drop in the comments later. I was trying to get a couple links that are things that I talk about on a regular basis, and for some reason it did not get all of them, but that's okay. It's Tuesday morning. Happy to be here with you. Thanks for saying hello and stopping by. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'll say I kind of alluded to a slower weekend. Sales were decent. Like they were average, but typically Labor Day weekend, people are out enjoying themselves, and sometimes they're not sitting in front of their computer purchasing, or I guess nowadays it would be a phone. They're not sitting in front of their phone purchasing. They're spending time with friends and family. They're at the lake. They're at a football game, camping, what have you, as the weather changes. So sales can sometimes be kind of hit or miss on a weekend like we had. I'm already at 2 for the day, which is 2 more than I had at this time yesterday. Sales were slow to get off the ground yesterday morning. So yeah, I've got one order that went out on Amazon. I already shipped that out already because I am trying to it sold yesterday. I wanted to make sure that I got it out so that it gets to the buyer on time. So I dropped that off on the way to drop my daughter off at daycare. So I had one Amazon order. I had one Mercari order. Mercari, thank you, coming in. It's been a while. 2 Depop orders, which if you've been joining me on these lives, you know I typically get about 1 Depop order. So to get 2, that was a bonus to get that extra one. Trying to get that one up as well. And then I had 4 Poshmark orders and about 16 eBay orders. So one of those Poshmarks was a bundle of 3 items. And I was actually surprised because typically when I get a bundle on Poshmark, it's usually when I get an offer, it's usually pretty low. They made a decent offer. We countered and they accepted. So, yeah, so let's get rolling. Again, if you're new to me, my name is Jason. I'm a full-time reseller in Fayetteville, Arkansas, just here in the Ozarks. And I do not only do I resell, but I also obviously making videos and going live like this to share my business with you and to share and also to connect with you. I learn from other resellers as well, as I've been doing this a long time. And then I have a spreadsheet that I sell as well for resellers. So it was created by myself as a reseller with you in mind. So if you're looking for a reseller spreadsheet. I've got it linked in the chat. You can click in there and find it to help you organize your numbers and your inventory and things like that. It does a whole lot of stuff, but I just won't go into all of it today. Okay, so I typically start off with the platform that has the least, and that's Mercari this morning. I had one sale. Again, Mercari has just been really slow for a lot of people, for me as well. I typically don't even have a Mercari sale on the weekend. So to have one, and it was a decent one, a $55 Polo Ralph Lauren sweatshirt. And of course, if you can let me know if you can hear me and see me all right, make sure I'm clear and that this microphone is coming in clear and crisp and it's not scratchy or anything. I'll do my best not to hit this so it doesn't create a loud noise. But brand new with tags, Polo Ralph Lauren sweatshirt, got the pony. It's in there, but you can't really see it based on the way that I folded it. This sold on a best offer of $55 on Mercari. So we are going to go ahead and get that one out. So for all my platforms, I charge shipping, eBay included. I don't do free shipping. I used to, but I switched a while ago. With Mercari and Depop, and obviously Poshmark too, because there's no other way to do it, I use their shipping label. So I ship it out using their label. I used to do it the other way where I would do my own shipping. But what I noticed is I would raise the price up to include the shipping for my own shipping to ship outside of Mercari. And then people would see that higher price, and then they would see another item similar to the one I was selling with a lower price plus shipping. And so I thought that was deterring buyers from coming in and making a sale. So I switched to get that lower amount displayed on the listing sites or on the listing page for Mercari. So this $55 sweatshirt, I would have paid $29 for this at most. I can't remember if I got this on sale at TJ Maxx or if I paid the full price of $29, but most I would have paid would be $29, and this is turning into a $55 flip. So we're gonna go ahead and print this out. I'm printing on my thermal label printer over here. Going to Indianapolis, Shanna. Highly recommend this printer. Prints off these really crisp, professional looking labels and does it really quickly compared to, gosh, I remember back in the days when I was first getting started. It's always fun to kind of go back to those days and think through where I was at that point. And I was using an inkjet printer, printing off labels on half pages. And not only was it expensive, it was slow, just waiting for 2 labels to come out. And, you know, if you've got back in those days, I remember having, I mean, we're talking 8 years ago, I'd have 30, 40, 50 weekend orders, and I'm waiting on all these to print out. So that printer has saved me quite a bit of time, and I don't have to buy ink anymore. So that's a game changer for sure. All right, so Mercari is out. Profits me close to $20 on at most $29 spent. That's about what I'm going for when I'm doing retail arbitrage. I'm picking up items at TJ Maxx, Marshalls, at Ross, just different retail establishments. I'm getting them on a clearance or on a deal, and then I'm flipping them online for hopefully 15 to 20 bucks profit. I'm usually, if I'm spending, you know, let's say I drop 30 bucks, I want to get at least 15 to 20. I don't want any less than that. That's kind of a steep it's hard to sink 30 bucks in to make 15, but obviously depending on if I get bundles too, that if I get a bundle that helps. But all right, we're rolling on to Depop. Again, I said I had 2 orders there. One of my oldest items in inventory. Polo Ralph Lauren Regent shirt. I've been slow to pick these up nowadays. I used to sell these all the time, and there's just so many people selling them. Really colorful shirt here, men's, size large. I sold it for $10 on Depop on a best offer. I think I had it for 14 bucks. They made an offer with Depop. You never know if they're going to pay. This morning, I accepted another offer on Depop, and I'm still waiting on them to pay, but they sent it late last night. So they may not be awake yet, depending on where they are in the country. So hopefully that will go through. Um, so a $10 Polo Ralph Lauren shirt. These shirts have slowed down. There's still a market for them if you know what to look for. Larger sizes, linen is great, colorful patterns, especially now flannels. But I typically, if it's not um, large or bigger, and it doesn't have like a colorful pattern or a material that's really good, I just am not picking them up. Again, if I got them for $1 or $2, that'd be a different story. But my thrift stores are pricing them at 6, 7, 8, sometimes $10 for a Polo Ralph Lauren here. So it's something that used to be in the fold of my business and now not as much. This one going to Laguna Beach, California. Matthew's getting a colorful shirt. All right, we got one more Depop. So that was the first one, that $10 Polo Ralph Lauren. That was one of my oldest items in inventory from May 23rd of 2022 was when I listed that Polo Ralph Lauren. If it gives you any idea sometimes how long those things set. Now, I obviously don't want to wait 3.5 years to sell an item. So I had the price down on that and I was just trying to get rid of it. 1,194 days on Depop. I had that listed. The next item was one of my fastest. So it went from the slowest on Depop to one of my fastest. This sold in 5 days for $32 on an offer. You're not really going to be able to tell, but these are a pair of Uniqlo that I picked up. Uniqlo, brand new with tag pants. I got these on a deal. I was mentioning the going to retail establishments, buying on clearance and then flipping. This was something that I picked up for really cheap. Some Uniqlo pants that I sold for $32 plus shipping. And I got these for less than $10. I used to keep track of all of my costs for each individual item. I no longer do that for time's sake. I just keep track of how much I spent at one store. So I could tell you, I went to Goodwill on this day and I spent $112 and I don't know how many items I would have gotten, but I can tell you how much I spent. So no longer am I tracking individual costs, but sometimes I can remember how much I spent just by seeing it. So, so we'll get this one going. And for those that are popping in, let me know where you watching from. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, home of the Razorbacks. Just had it pulled off a non-surprising win, but got their first win of the season this weekend over a small Alabama A&M team. Going to Philadelphia. Will picking this up from Philadelphia, a pair of Uniqlo pants. If I'm not mistaken, Uniqlo I think is an Asian brand. I don't find them very often. But I will say I've picked up their down puffer jackets, and those have done well. I'm typically looking, unless it's like a heavier sweater or something, like I'm typically looking for new with tags items. I'm not usually picking up used Uniqlo. Again, like I said, I'll make an exception on a puffer jacket. Okay, so we're switching over to Poshmark. I shipped out Mercari and Depop already. I got 4 orders on Poshmark. Again, one of those a bundle. We'll start with this one, another old item. Sometimes I told you that I share the wins. I also share, I wouldn't call this a mistake. I mean, maybe you could call it a mistake. I lost money on these, I guess is what I'm saying. I paid $29 for these at TJ Maxx. I picked up probably 4 pairs of these. These are the last ones to go. The first 1 or 2 I sold for that $40, $50 range. These I actually sold at the cost I paid. So I sold them at 30, got 29, paid 29 for them. By the time you take out fees, I lost money on this pair. So I learned my lesson. I want to keep getting out there, keep growing, keep learning. And of course, when you do stuff like that, you're going to make mistakes. You're not always going to hit it out of the park. I listed these March of 2024. So we're going on a 1.5 years. and it was just time to get my money back and move on. So $30, they're out the door on Poshmark. And I'm getting more and more aware. I'm gonna run out of label tape over here, labels. I'm getting more and more aware, if an item has been sitting for a while and I get a decent offer, it's just time to take it and move on. I used to just be more so mindset of like, I'll wait. I'll get that buyer. They'll come around. They'll pay the money. And that can happen. But if you don't have unlimited storage space and you don't have unlimited cash flow, it gets to where it's like, all right, I just need the money. Let's just get it and go. And so that one's gone. That's the last of the 3 or 4 that I bought. I had a bundle of 3 items on Poshmark, all women's items. Let's see if I can find them here. Three items, and typically when someone sends an offer on a bundle, I don't get too excited because it's usually a pretty, like 25 to 30% bundle price. So if the bundle's $100, they offer me 25, sometimes 40, and I'm like, I just can't do that. I can't come down that low. This was $115 to $20 bundle that they offered 80 for. We eventually settled on 90. So I was very happy with that. First item was a pair of new Nike leggings. You can see this really colorful pattern. I picked these up at the Benz. These would have been $1. I was about to head out from the Benz and saw those laying there brand new with the Nike tags. That's not the next one. Just in time for fall, colder season, I've got this women's Duluth shirt jacket. Really cool. Obviously, that's a pattern that is just timeless and is always around this time of year. Heavy with pockets, shirt jacket from Duluth Trading. And then this is another TJ Maxx retail arbitrage piece that I've had sitting around. I think I paid $10 for it at a yellow tag sale a couple of years ago. Listed this, August 24th of 2023, and it sold August 30th of 2025. Title IX women's. I've very much slowed down on women's, but this is like a shirt dress. There's kind of the pattern of a navy blue with like a lighter blue stripe. Got some stretch to it, some polyester. So these 3 items, $90 on an offer on Poshmark for the bundle. Jordan, what's up? I did have a good weekend. Yeah, it was action packed. Jordan says, had a good weekend, making up some work from yesterday, photographing a week's worth of listings in one day. Man, get some water, get some snacks. You got a lot going on today. I know Labor Day is great when you have your own business. It's great because you can take off, you have the flexibility, but then you got to make up for it on the back end. Yeah, and Jordan says sales are starting to pick up some. Glad fall is coming. Yeah, me too. I love this time. And sales have slowly started picking up, but man, Sunday, Monday for me was brutal. It was just, like I said earlier, I think I went until almost lunchtime with no sales yesterday. And which can be normal for a Labor Day. People are busy, they're preoccupied. So I'm glad that sales are picking up for you. And I've noticed a slow uptick. We're just obviously September 2nd. If I'm looking at the last couple of months, I averaged $266 a day reselling in July. July is typically the slowest. I bumped that up to $294 a day in August. So got a good little notch up. And if I go back to June was actually really well, a really good month for me, $325 a day in June on average. Of course, those are just reseller sales. I've got other parts of this business that bring in income, but that's the majority of it being reselling. But that's a look at my summer months. Jordan, what did you do this weekend? What did you do on Labor Day? Did you do something fun? Get some time with family? How was that for you? My brother, who's a lot younger than me. He's in his, I guess, upper 20s now. Got his nursing certificate. He passed his boards, and actually yesterday started his first day as a nurse at a local hospital here. And so we went out this weekend, got some breakfast. The family went out and celebrated him and his achievement. He's going to be a great nurse, just really thoughtful, really intelligent. And then Sunday we got outside. It was just beautiful. We went to a state park close by, and we're able to get out. Of course, we've got a 2.5-year-old, so we can't hike very far, but I've got a little pack she sits in. We were able to get out. It was beautiful. Walk around, just the new area for us, which was fun. It's kind of fun to do something new in this area. And then yesterday, Labor Day, we drove an hour away to our family, and doesn't matter, but an hour away, and had some birthday celebrations, obviously Labor Day lunch and things like that. So it was a packed weekend, just going constantly. And I'm feeling it today. Last night was a brutal night of sleep too. If you all have Labor Day plans or things from this weekend that you want to share, would love to see that in the chat. Just drop a comment. Would love to hear how your weekend went. Hope you all had a great one. Okay, so I'm going to grab a bigger poly mailer. Of course, all of my supplies I've got linked in the comments. You can find, if you scroll up, you'll see my suggested reselling supplies. All of the things that you see here, from poly mailers to boxes to tape, everything I have linked there. Thermal printer that I was talking about earlier is linked as well. I believe it's on sale right now, cheaper than I've seen in a while. All right, we've got these 3 going out. Talked about those. I'm going to put them in a big poly mailer. This is a 14.5 by 19. It's the biggest one I use. I don't typically pull these out. It's usually for bundle orders or big jackets or like blazers and suits and things like that. Jordan says, did some gardening, hung out with the kids, and showed my son how to change a starter in a truck. Nice. I'm sure he really appreciated that. That's really cool that you got some time with him and were able to show him, give him a valuable skill on something that I'm sure he appreciates. Stay-at-home dad with a huge garden. This time of year, super busy. Yeah, I hear that. Man, that's one thing, Jordan, that I don't have really any experience. And that's one thing that I'm like, when I think about retiring, obviously that's a long time away, but right now it just seems not doable. I want to learn how to garden. I want to learn how to, my wife and I have talked about having like a raised bed to grow a few things. Get some produce that we can stop buying from the store. Volunteering at your church as well. Nice. Jordan, where are you located? What part of the country are you in? Sounds like you had a great weekend. Spend some time with your family and your son, and I'm volunteering. I'm sure you had some good food in there as well. Let's see here. What am I looking for? There it is. This brand I don't pick out much. Again, this game is very nuanced. You got to know what to look for with certain brands. There's so many resellers nowadays. And if you just say all Banana Republic is good, you're going to get in trouble unless you're pricing it just super low. I was actually surprised with this sale. These pinstripe, it's like a brown with a stripe dress pants. They were the Banana Republic Dawson Relaxed dress pant with a cool stripe. So they went on Poshmark for $25. Again, something like this, I would sell it 18, 19 and up. Full price sale came in, and I was excited about that. Of course, you always celebrate the full price sales when you have offers available on your site as well, in your store, just wherever you're selling. Going to Tenley Park, Illinois. And this is officially the last label. Live in West Michigan near Grand Rapids. Okay, cool. I have never been to Michigan. We got a friend. She is from Traverse City, which I think is way up there. And she just talks about how beautiful it is quite a bit. Makes me interested in that part of the country. I've never been up there. I think the farthest north I've been would be Chicago. Sorry, I got to grab some more labels over here. Farthest north in like the central part of the country. Been to Boston, been to Seattle, as far as other parts, but I have not been to Michigan, to my detriment. I run out of tape. No, forgot I had that. I buy these rolls for the thermal printer, and they come in like, I don't know, I want to say it's like 25 rolls. It's actually a really good deal. That way I never really have to buy these things because they last so long. I'm already like halfway through, but I still have 10 rolls left or so. Got to restring it feed it through the printer here. What's the weather like up in Michigan now? I'm guessing it's probably a little cooler than what I'm experiencing here down in the South. All right, Banana Republic pants I would have paid $5-6 for. They sold for $25. That's going to profit me right around that like $18 mark. Let's just check. Yeah, $15. $15 is a little closer to what that would have been. Okay. Last one on Poshmark, and then we're rolling into eBay. I've only sold a couple of this brand, so I can't vouch with a lot of experience, but these are typically Western shirts, L General. I don't know if you can see that right there that's on the pocket, L General, and they usually have like different colors or geometric patterns. This has got like a color blocking, like a red, black, typically Western shirts, and this sold for $21 on Poshmark. Listed this in May of 2025. So you're not going to make a lot of long sleeve sales in the summer. Weather changes and someone snatches it up for $21. I remember where I got this. Goodwill in Bella Vista. This is going to Hawaii. Going to Hawaii. Actually, got to redo this. It's got like a little piece of paper in here that's covering some of the barcode when it prints. There we go. That's good. Last warm day of the year, 75-ish. Yeah, we're at like upper 70s right now. Still got a few days in the 80s left. Man, that sounds perfect. That's like idyllic for me. I want that like 60s weather where it dips down into like the 40s at night. It's jacket weather. Okay. That was my last Poshmark. We are now on to eBay. Got 16, 17, somewhere in there, orders on eBay to ship out. Again, you heard me say it before, but all my supplies everything you see me using is listed in the chat, in the comments. So you can scroll up and you'll see, got it right here. Got a link to my reseller spreadsheet, a link to Nifty if you're interested in an AI tool to cross-list your items, and got all of my reseller interesting. Oh, because it's down below, but you'll see it in the chat. The link is actually down below. My suggested reselling supplies. It'll open up as a Google sheet that you will be able to see all the visuals, all the supplies I use in my business, from supplies for reselling to supplies to content, shipping, packaging, picturing, everything. It's all there. Of course, I do receive a small commission if you choose to buy something, but those are actually the products I use. I don't put anything up if I haven't used it and tested it. I only vouching for the products that I use. Okay, first on eBay. Now, since I'll be entering shipping. So I charge, most of you know that I charge on eBay for shipping. I used to do free shipping. I have since, in the last probably 4 to 5 years, switched from free to charging the buyer. And I actually just talking about this last week. I just made a change in my store a week or two ago where I used to do free returns. Now I do buyer pays returns. So still offer 30 days. Buyer can send it back, even if they just decide they don't like the fit. But the buyer pays now instead of me paying for it to come back. So I'm playing with this just to see, like, do my returns drop when I have the buyer pay? Obviously, with free returns, it removes that obstacle. If a buyer has to pay for the label, and it's, if they're not getting the discount that I'm getting because I ship through eBay, if they're going to the post office and paying $10 to ship these, and maybe they only paid $20 for the jeans, are they going to send them back? That's obviously we'll see if that reduces the amount of returns. But I had these Wrangler jeans, brand new, sell for $26.98 on eBay. And these are actually an international order. So they're going overseas, and we'll find out where in just a sec. Nifty sent out a 10% offer, and the buyer accepted. So you heard me talking about an AI cross-listing tool. Nifty is the tool that I use to cross-list all my eBay listings onto Poshmark, Mercari, Depop. It cross-lists it in seconds. Literally just click, Poshmark, click, Mercari. It's just really fast. And then from there, they've got other features with their with this tool. If you haven't heard of Nifty, it's really slick. I use it to share my closet and follow and like things, the whole social aspect on Poshmark. Nifty automatically takes all the items from the other platforms down when an item sells within 5 minutes or so. So you don't get that duplicate sale. They've got some stats and analytics. They've got an AI lister, so you can list directly onto Nifty using AI. It's just really slick, and it's changed my business. So the buyer liked or looked at this pair of Wrangler jeans, new tags. I had them at $29.99. And once they looked at it and liked it, Nifty then tracked that and automatically sent them a 10% off offer, and they accepted. So Nifty helped me make this sale. And they are going to Kazakhstan. So you may think like you're shipping internationally. I ship internationally, have been for the past probably 4 or 5 years. It's really easy to do. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but once you get rolling, I'll show you how quickly it is to ship this pair of jeans. So I use Pirate Ship. Pirate Ship is a website where you can ship items for free. You just sign up for an account. You put in a credit card to take payment for the labels, and then you can quickly start printing off labels. And the cool thing is with Pirate Ship, I know I'm throwing out a bunch of tools for you, but I want to share how I do this business, my daily operations and how I run things. The cool thing is you can pull in your eBay orders into Pirate Ship automatically so that you don't have to type in like the buyer's address, the package details, all of that. So I'll see if okay, so I'm going to import this from eBay. It's going to Kazakhstan. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I don't think I'll have anyone watching from Kazakhstan though. Okay, so I've pulled in the buyer's details, and all I have to do is just fill out a few details as far as like the dimensions of this poly mailer, which is an 11 by 9. the weight is all for a pair of jeans for me is always 1 to 2 pounds. So I always put in 2 pounds because it's going to round up anyways. And then with international orders, I'm just going to describe what I'm shipping. So just keep it simple. Jeans, quantity 1, value $27. I'll do $26.98. Again, I have to put in the weight, 2 pounds. And then it's very important you do this last part. If you have it, if in the order, specifically with eBay, if you have a value added tax that the buyer has paid, meaning they paid a tax in advance to have it imported into their country, it's important that you sorry, I'm kind of thrown off. It's important you get it in the system so that when they go to pick up their package, customs doesn't say you need to pay for the VAT. And they'll be like, I already paid this. So it's showing they did pay, but there's like a code, like a 10, 11 digit number. And this just says code paid. So I'm guessing they didn't get a code. They didn't pay. They didn't. I don't know why there's not a code, but I'm just going to copy and paste VAT exactly what they have in there where they would typically have the code. It says VAT ID code paid. I'm just going to throw it in, show they have paid. And then anytime it's going to Europe, you have to do this extra step. You kind of have to find out what the code is for a pair of men's jeans. So I'm going to just type in men's jeans. I know this is a lot. Once you get the hang of it, it goes pretty quickly. And I have to put in the material content, 100% cotton, and then it gives me a code. And then I'm going to take that code and paste it into pirate ship. And this basically just tells customs who's receiving this package what the contents are, that these are men's jeans. These men's jeans have a specific code. This one is 6203.42. I charge $23 to ship for a 2-pound item going worldwide, and the label comes out to $21.99. So typically I charge a little extra to cover like not fees, to cover, well, yes, sometimes with eBay specifically, you get charged like an additional like international fee, which is kind of stupid. And then of course for supplies that I use. Yeah, international order fees typically end up being more for me than just a regular order that's going US. I'll see if I can show you this. Yeah, so this is what the label looks like. It's going to say pirate ship, export, sorting center, and it's going to have this address in Illinois. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ship this and it's going to go to this center in Illinois. It doesn't even have the buyer's name. It doesn't have the buyer's address. It has nothing but pirate ship on the front. Pirate ship export sorting center. This is going to go to Illinois. Of course, tracking is uploaded into eBay, so the buyer is going to get all these notifications. Once it gets to Illinois, it's going to say delivered. And a lot of times your international buyers will reach out and say, hey, it says delivered. I don't have it. And many times it's because it shows delivered to the US rerouting center. And then from there, they slap on a new label over this, and then they send it overseas or wherever it's going, Canada or overseas or wherever. And many times I'll just reach out and say, hey, this is complete standard protocol. It will show delivered at this rerouting center. And once tracking starts updating on the second package, or I guess the first package, but the second leg of the journey, you'll notice that it starts to start tracking again. All right, so we're going to go back to the sheet. Drop in my shipping charge. I didn't have to do this on all the other platforms because I use their shipping. All right. Yeah, I agree with you, Jordan. This is probably the first time I've had a Kazakhstan. Typically, it's like I've had a couple of Japans lately, and that was challenging because the buyer's info came across in Japanese script. So I had to use, which thankful that I live in today's world, I use Google Translate, translated it into Obviously, I don't know what you'd call the script that we use. English, it's not English, but I don't know. Maybe it is. Um, the script that we're familiar with, where I could at least read. But Japan is tricky because it's not just like city, state. It's just hard. It's confusing because it's not in the same order that we use. So I have to like play with items a little bit, the addresses in Japan. So much so I was like, man, should I even just take off shipping to Japan, because this is kind of a hassle. But um, I also one time didn't even think about it, and I just printed out the label with the Japanese script, and I was concerned that it wouldn't get there since maybe someone in the US couldn't read it, but maybe they use Google Translate. I don't know. I'm sure they have tools like that they use. But yeah, international orders are fun. They're obviously help bring in, if it's just an extra sale or two a week, that's something, right? All right, next on eBay, we're moving on to Keen. These Keen shoes were colorful and didn't have really much wear. I mean, if you look at the bottom of these, you wouldn't think they've been worn really at all. The only wear on them is where I rubbed off the marker price. But insides of these look great. They don't have a lot of wear on the inside. So these were like new, sold for $32.39 plus shipping, going to Oklahoma City. So this is going to be a very short transit, since I'm about three and a half hours from OKC. And if you've been watching me for the last couple of weeks, you know I ship most of my shoes in bubble wrap inside a poly mailer. These were women's size 7, so I'm wondering if I listed these December of last year and they just sold. Thought they would move faster, honestly. But, you know, you just never know sometimes. Women's size 7 is kind of on the smaller end. Once you get into like the 6.5 range, you may have to wait for a buyer. I had Poshmark's reminder to ship something that I already said I shipped, which is kind of strange. So I've got like a shoe rate. If it's 0 to 2 pounds, I charge $8.95. That's not right. I charged $8.95, but I think that shoe rate is actually higher. Jordan asks, for those that are watching, about the bubble wrap and the poly mailer. If I ever have issues, and I don't have issues. I've been doing this for, I think, close to a year now, where I'm not using boxes for most of my shoes, unless it's like a high dollar shoe item. You know, if I have a $200 pair of shoes, I'm probably going to package that a little differently than a $30 pair. But yeah, I've never had any issues. Never had one person reach out and say like anything about the packaging. So yeah, and it's obviously, if I put this in a box, it tips over from the 2 pound range into the 3 pound range, and then I have to charge more. I have to pay more for shipping. So that's kind of why I do it. Cuts down on the amount of supplies used. And it saves me a little bit on shipping. So now that I was talking about I've got like business policy. And Jordan, I'm interested if you use business policies to for your shipping rates. I have a bunch of business policies set up for different things, like a clothing item from 9 to 12 ounces, 13 to 16. But I'm looking at shoes. Okay, so I updated this since then, but for shoes 0 to 2 pounds, I'm charging $9.95. Once that shoe hits 2 to 3 pounds, I charge $10.95. And then I've got one more, I think, for shoes. That is, do I have another for shoes? Yeah, 3 to 4 pounds, which is $12.95. So this must have been on an old policy, because I charged $8.95 on these. And since they're going to Oklahoma City, it's $6.15. It's pretty cheap. So get a little bit of margin back there. You may be asking, you don't charge calculated? I don't do calculated. I do flat rate. So I charge a set amount Buyer pays that set amount, and then I pay for the label myself. I mean, the buyer pays, but I then go in and instead of giving the buyer calculated shipping, I'm charging the set amount. I think you get it. Yeah, I understand that. Calculated shipping. I can understand why you would want to do that and not have to think about weight, but then you still have to think through, like, you have to know the dimensions of the package, you have to know the weight and all of that ahead of time. But yeah, to each his own. I mean, everyone's got their own system. So I mentioned shoes. I got this pair of shoes that sold. I picked these up at TJ Maxx, either 29 or 39. And I definitely didn't make a lot of money on these going to Nebraska. So another close neighbor. These are the Adidas Stan Smith in like it's kind of like a peach pink colorway. Sold for, where is it? $58.48. So just because there's some room in the box, I'm going to put some bubble wrap. There's no like tissue paper that you can normally find in shoes. Of course, with TJ Maxx, you don't get tissue paper. They usually just come in a box, if they come in a box at all. So for something like this, I'm going to put it in a box because the buyer bought a brand new pair of shoes. And so I just happen to have a couple of Amazon boxes. Of course, I recycle a lot of my supplies. I buy something on Amazon. You can't see it, but right over here, I keep all of my supplies, all of my boxes, my poly mailers, everything. And these boxes are perfect for stuff like this, I believe. Yeah. Got it in there. A little bit of room, so I'll stuff some like little filler on the sides to keep it from bouncing around. I don't know if I tapped the mic there. I did. My apologies. I forget you can still hear me when I walked away from the computer. All right, I think this will be all I'll need. Fits in there really well, actually. Yeah, anytime I get stuff from Amazon or anyone else, I keep it. Whether it's like this packaging right here, it all goes in the closet. Tissue paper, boxes. I haven't bought boxes in a while, and I probably will have to soon just to have some on stock. But with the holidays coming up and people doing that, obviously I'm going to be doing Christmas shopping and things like that. We're going to be getting some supplied stuff. All right. I said this was going to be 3 pounds, maybe more than that. Yeah, it tips over into the 4 pound range. And still 4 pounds. Actually, let's put in the dimensions. Here's a little tip for you if this is something you want to do. I've got on my desk, you can't really see it. I've got a ruler. It's just a piece of tape that I put on the edge of this all the way down the length of the desk that I marked off every inch so that I could quickly measure, mainly for clothing, but obviously it comes in handy for shipping too. So I've got a quick way to get a grip on dimensions of things. 1411.6. And it's something that you can just take out a piece of tape and quickly put it down and mark it off with a ruler. All right, so $8 ground advantage going to not Oklahoma City, Fremont, Nebraska. For those that were here earlier, you heard me talking about retail arbitrage and how you have to be careful with margins. This was not, I mean, I made money, but it was not a huge margin. If I paid 39, and I can't, like I said, I can't remember exactly how much, but it would have been 29 to 39, that range. That means that I made $12.60. That's not a lot to sink $39 and make $12.60. So not something I want to do again. And I'm happy they're gone. When you realize, if they don't sell right away for good money, not that they always have to sell for good money right away, but when you realize like, hey, I thought these were going to be a hit, they weren't, then it's just time to get your money back. And I just accepted an offer. Those actually sold. I think those sold on a nifty offer as well, because I had them for $64.99 and they sold for $58.48. So a 10% off offer. All right. Fast flip alert. Where are we over here? So brand you want to be on the lookout for. See it right there, Fox. I came down on an offer. I had these at 49. These are like men's cycling pants, like lightweight cycling pants. Came down. I had them at 49. Buyer made an offer for 35 and I just took it. I could have countered at 45, 40. But I was just like, you know what? I was slow and I was just like, let's get some sales going. I paid $6 for these. So 35 is a great flip. I love the $6 into like $30 range. It's just the margin is just there. And they only took 4 days to sell. So again, I could have waited and gotten a buyer who was willing to pay like that $40 to $45 range, or I could have countered too, and that they may have taken it, but I just decided to move on. Yeah, Jordan, I love your system. Everyone's got what works for them based on what they're selling. And Jordan's saying uses 14.5 by 19, which is like this black one that I have. Enter the weight when I list and store them in the poly mailers. I love that. I've seen more people doing that, storing in the poly mailers. So you just grab it and then just seal it up and go. You got to find what works for you and the system that's going to help make you successful. It's not that we all have the same system, but it's that we have a system that works for us. And there are many ways to do it. I think I posted on, well, I know I've posted on, I'm not saying, I guess it's not, I think I posted on Facebook a picture of my bins. I had a lot of activity on that post. A lot of people telling me how they store their items, how they pull their orders and things like that. It's just important to have a system. I'm in the home of the Razorbacks. These are a pair of actually older style Nike golf shorts that had a Razorback on the back. These are actually my shorts and they got too small. So they're going out the door. Sold them for $26.99. Now, if these were just plain Nike golf shorts, I would not have gotten $26.99. I would have gotten like 18, 17. But with the Razorback, and especially that one, it's like really big on the pocket. That's what sold it. And that's what I'm looking for. Unique pieces like that. These were mine, but I had thrifted them. I thrifted them, wore them for a while, and then decided to sell them. I don't play golf very much. I'm going to snack on some banana bread here while we're hanging out. Get an eBay error here. Another good flip. $26.99 would have profited me about that $18 range, $16 to $18. And they didn't take very long to sell. And I was glad to move them now that we're coming out of summer. Going to Alexander, Arkansas. So really close. Never heard of Alexander, but I'm in Arkansas, so it can't be too far. All right, another pair of shoes. I think this is the last one that I have as far as shoes going out. I have an old neighbor. He no longer lives next to me, but he gets really good stuff. Burberry. These are a pair of Birkenstocks. And from time to time, he'll hit me up and say, hey, I'm going through my stuff. Do you want to sell for me? And I give him 50% profit, or I take 50% of the cut, I guess. He honestly started off, he just we had just moved in not long before this conversation. He popped over the fence and just said, "Hey, I hear you resell." And we had talked about that for a little bit. And he was like, "Got a bunch of bags of stuff. You interested?" And I was like, "Yeah." I mean, without knowing the brands and the quality, I was like, "Let me take a look at it, and I'll see if what we can do." And he was just like, "Well, I'm just gonna take him to Goodwill anyways. So if you want it, you can have it." Ended up being that first run ended up being 20 bags of mainly his wife's clothing. And I'm like, how does someone get this much stuff? But a lot of it, I mean, some of it was new with tags. Most of it was not worth keeping or selling, like cheaper brands. But there were also some really high-end brands in there, some of those new with tags. And so I just didn't feel right keeping it for myself and keeping all the profit. So I just said, hey, you've got some good stuff in here. How about, I'll give you back what I'm not going to sell. I'll keep some of these items. I'll give you half the profit. And he was happy with that. And since then, even now, he's not my neighbor anymore, but he'll still hit me up and say, I've got some items. Do you want them? And I'll always say yes, because I know the stuff that he's bringing to me. Burberry, Anthropology, women's brands, these Birkenstocks. And so this was an item I flipped for him. Listed these on August 14th. So they took 2 weeks to sell. Birkenstocks, hardly worn. He said he wore them once. There's a little more wear than that. But they're still like excellent condition. It's not the classic sandal that you are kind of familiar with when you think of Birkenstock, but this model, I don't know if you'd be surprised by this, sold in 2 weeks, going to Philadelphia, $111 on a best offer. I had these for $129. Buyer made an offer this weekend for $111. Didn't even counter. I just took it. Now remember, Nifty, the AI tool, sends 10% off offers automatically to likers. So I don't know if they receive that offer or not. I don't know if they like the item. But on 129, that offer's going out at like 117, somewhere in there, 116. So 111, good deal. I mean, that's close enough. If they'd offered 80, 90, I probably would have countered. So 2 weeks to sell those. And yeah, we're each going to make about $50 on that sale. So I love that connection. And I'm so glad that I said yes to seeing what was behind the door with this guy as far as his clothes that he was wanting to sell. He's probably hit me up 10 times, a dozen times over the last 3-4 years. And sometimes it's just like 5 or 6 pieces, and other times it's like a bag of stuff. And I just, at the end of each month, so after I get off this live, I'm going to do my August numbers and record all of my money, all of my expenses. You get the idea. And I'll tally up. I've actually got this on the spreadsheet. I've got a consignment tab that I keep track of all of his sales. And I just go in and paste in the sale that corresponds with his item. And it automatically tells me based on the cut, percent, 50%, how much I owe him each month. So I take that number and I just send him a quick Venmo payment. And I believe he's happy. He's a cool guy too. He's from Nashville. He moved here with his wife and family, and they started a Dots hot chicken food truck. And then just probably, I think April, moved into a restaurant, like a physical restaurant location over the truck, sold the truck. And I just happened to be in the area, and he was like, hey, you want to stop in? I've got some things for you. And it was opening day for him. It was right before lunch. And I got to be his first customer. I was like, man, can I buy us? So I bought my wife and I a sandwich, got to be his first paying customer at his like physical restaurant location. It was just a really cool feeling. Like, I love being able to support him as a business owner, to be able to support his business, even though he had the food truck for a long time. It was just a fun little coincidence. All right, 7:57. You've probably seen this notification on eBay. It says, look, your items are over $100. Do you want to add protection? Not for $11 over. No. So I'm skipping that. I'll take the chance. I'm trying to think, at what point would it make more sense for me to pay for the shipping. And I think definitely over $200. I guess I would ask you all that. Do you pay for insurance on your items, on your high dollar item? And at what point do you consider it high dollar where the $100 insurance isn't worth taking a shot with? You're going to pay for the additional. Jordan, I'll throw that out to you. How often do you pay for that extra insurance protection? Because obviously you get $100 from USPS. But if it's a $200 item and the package goes missing, you basically only get $100 back. So at what point does it make it worth it for you all? Sorry, as I eat my breakfast here, my banana bread. For me, I don't really have like a hard, fast rule. I don't sell a lot of high value items that I would consider like 150 plus. You know, I'll get some $100 items like those shoes, and I won't do insurance. But you know, let's say those shoes were 225. I'd maybe pay $2 or $3 for the extra insurance just to be sure. So maybe that $200 range would be my threshold for when I start to decide on insurance. Jordan says, I rarely sell over 100, but on the cases I do, I just take the chance. Yeah. And most of the time, like if I think back my 10 years selling, how many times have I had a lost package? Not very often. I mean, probably I can maybe count on one hand, maybe 6 or 7. That I've had a lost package, and I've had, you know, it was frustrating, but it doesn't happen very often. Jordan, you said you sell clothing, and I obviously buy the 14.5, 19 poly mailer. I'm guessing what kind of clothing do you mainly sell? Are you men's, women's? What type of clothing? What's your niche, or are you kind of like all over the place? All right, third time's a charm on this one. I've sold these shorts twice, and this is the third time going out. If these come back, seriously, I'm going to be frustrated. The first time wasn't due to measurements. The first time they were like, I just changed my mind. I'm like, okay, that's frustrating. But the second time it was like, they don't fit. So this is the third time on these bonobos. I don't know how you pronounce that. Sold these for 18. I think I've sold it for 18 to 19 to 20 3 times now. So that range of the upper teens to 20. They've got like a cool little pocket trim, which I don't know if you'll be able to see it in there, but like when the pockets open up, this is kind of like a bonobos thing. You've got like paisley, or you've got like a floral print inside the back pockets. And that's kind of their thing. And so I always try and show the back pocket detail. And I usually, sometimes with like the pants, I'll try and get it in that first pick. So sold 3 times. Hopefully they stay at their home this time. So Jordan says 60% of my store is jeans, men's, women's. The other 40% is a mix of shirts, hats, and shoes mostly. Okay, mostly jeans. Gotcha. Yeah, I think you have more of I've got more emphasis on like tops, like shirts and men's more specifically. Jean sales in the summer are brutal. That's right. Man, I think all of my eBay tabs are timing out because they've been open for so long. So I've got to remember to refresh. Yeah, jean sales are brutal, but now's your time, right? Hopefully you're starting to get some jean sales popping now. I'd say I've noticed that in the last maybe 3 weeks, I've started to see that shift. I got to go out and figure out. I forgot to put in the label for the Birkenstock shoes. So the Birkenstocks I sold for $111. Oh man, I almost caught a fly. Did you guys see that? It was in my hand. $111 with the fees taken out. $98.49 was what was left on the Birkenstocks. And so that means we split it half and half, puts about $48, $49 and change in my pocket on those. The Bonobos, I've probably broken even just because I've sold them 3 times and I've had to pay for the first 2 times I paid for shipping coming back. It's since changed. All right. Got a fun little, this next sale was fun to find. Actually, a really big shocker for me. I would not have said that these would sell for $35, and I maybe could have gotten more, very similar to the Fox pants. I was just mentioning I had them for $49, actually 49, 44, somewhere in there. Buyer made an offer for 35 and then sent a message that said, these retail for $32.50. I think 35 is fair. The difference is they're vintage. And so I was thinking there are some used ones that sell for this. Do I just counter or do I just take it? And again, slower sales this weekend. I just took it. I just took 35 and was happy. I picked these up for $5.99. Pair of Old Navy, and there you go, $32.50 on the tag. Old Navy parachute pants from the 90s. So they're brand new with tags. They've got side pockets. They've got front pockets just above the knees. Obviously the back pockets. Large windbreaker pants, size 40 by 32. I had no idea. I mean, I don't know why I even looked these up. I don't pick up Old Navy, but I'm glad I did. I listed these on August 26th. They sold. When did they sell? Where is it? I don't know why it's not telling me. I'll find it in my sheet. They sold on August 30th. 3 days and change. Four to 5 pairs of jeans a day. That's nice. That's healthy. All right, so didn't sell promoted, which is nice. No fees, no promoted fees. $35 plus shipping gives me $30.40. And then we take out the 5 or 6 that I spent on these pants. I'm looking at about $24 profit within 4 days of listing them. Going to Massachusetts. Boston, represent. I love Boston. My wife and I went there, was that last fall? I want to say it was 2 falls ago. Yeah, because her daughter was like 8 months old. It was like our first, no, it wasn't even our first big trip. We took her when we were 2 months old to Denver. But it was our first time to fly with her. And we had a lot of fun. Loved Boston. It was my first time there. Which, honestly, I'd move there in a second. I don't think I would want to brave the winters. Jordan, you probably can relate with that. We're Michigan. I'm sure you get some brutal winters there. But we loved Boston. And we'd like to travel like when the fall hits. So here in about 4 weeks, we're going to the other side of the country. We're going to be going to Bend, Oregon, spend 5 days there. Never been to Bend, never been to Oregon, actually. I'm actually excited to go. I've heard that Bend is such a cool place, a little small town in the middle of Oregon. So excited to go. Pick these up at Retail Arbitrage for, I think, $8 to $10. Brand new. No, these weren't that. These are different. I was at Goodwill and they had a huge, someone had donated like 15 to 20 pairs of board shorts, swim shorts, Billabong, Viore, Patagonia, Costa, a bunch of brands. And it was like he had 20 pairs in his closet and he wore them all once or twice and then donated them. So they were all like new. some of them new. So I got $24 for these, listed them as new. Does not look like new without tags. Does not look like they had been worn. But again, you're coming out of summer, you're not going to have a lot of, I mean, you may have some people who are taking like some Hawaiian or cruise vacations in the winter to get out of the cold, but most people aren't buying swimwear here in a month or two. So happy to get these gone. I still have a few left. It's a good pattern too. Going to Phoenix, Arizona. You source at the Ben's. We have a Ben's store here, but it's about a 45-minute drive from me. And I don't know about you, but I just don't like the Ben. I mean, you can get stuff so cheap. I don't blame you for that. I just don't like, I'm sure a lot of people don't like it, just that kind of hustle and like you're in people's space and it's like your hand is in my air. You know, it's just that the whole craziness that goes down with the Ben stores. Hopefully yours aren't like that. Here's a piece that I'm so confused from 2022. Let's see if you can see the tag. See if you can see that in there. Woolrich. This was a brand new with tags. I thrifted this for $6. It was like a windbreaker jacket. It came with a little stuff sack. It's got a hood that you can roll up into the collar. It's got pockets. It's vented. Like a really cool jacket. Men's medium may have something to do with it, but again, that's funny. I thrifted this or listed this August 30th of 2022, and it sold August 31st of 2025, 3 years later for $34. I think it's vintage, so I had listed this really high. I was hoping to get really good money on this. I think I listed this $50-$60 because it was new with tags and vintage, and that was just probably too high. Started lowering it down to that $30 range. Someone sent an offer of $34, and especially on an item 3 years old, I'm going to accept that. I think I had it at $39. Oh, Jordan, I love hearing that. I wish that was my reality here with the Ben's. It's not. I typically don't get in line, like find my space for the new when they roll out the new Ben's. I typically don't do that. I typically just find the Ben's that no one's looking at and go there because people leave stuff behind all the time. Kind of like to just be off doing my own thing with no one bothering me. There's probably a lot of people like that though. But yeah, the new racks, I mean, if you're not there, you obviously miss out. If I'm not at the new rack when they roll it out, there's a lot of good stuff being taken right away. It's just the hustle and bustle of the people is just kind of gets me. Occasionally I'll dip my toes in. All right. This next item, I do quality checks on my store from time to time. You can see a bin back there that I'm working on. I'm putting newly listed items in that bin. Whenever I pull a bin from the garage to fill up, using my spreadsheet, eBay, and Nifty, those are the three places that I cross-check to make sure it's in my sheet. I make sure it's listed on eBay, and I make sure it's listed on all the other sites. So if all three of those match, so if I pull this bin and it has 8 items in it, and then I go to my sheet and it says that bin should have 8, and then Nifty and all the other places say that, I'm good to go. If I see a discrepancy, if this has 8 and my spreadsheet has 9, then I've got a problem somewhere, or if something doesn't line up or match. And I say all that to say, I had done some quality checks on a bin that I pulled in probably a year ago, and I found 3 of these shirts I had listed, brand new with tags, Travis Matthew, that were not listed on eBay. Somehow they had gotten removed and had just been sitting in this bin for months. Jordan, thanks so much for popping in. Maybe we'll see you next week. Hope you have some great sales today. So they had been 3 of these, all the same style, same size, same color, everything. Been sitting in this bin, unlisted on eBay. So I quickly got them listed. They've been sitting for a while. I don't know why, but this sold as an international order going to Mexico. Got $35.99 plus shipping. So again, if you were here earlier, you kind of got the spiel on how I ship internationally. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about that, but I do ship internationally. And this weekend, I've got at least 2. I don't know if I have another one. Just refreshing my data here to pull this order in. It's taking its time, so we're just going to reload the page. I think we're going to skip it and move on while it loads. Let's move on to the next one. All right. I'm going to move fast now because I need to get off and do some things. I've got a lot to do today, but got some Bonobos. You saw me pick up the shorts earlier and sell them. These are Bonobos pants. Again, got a cool little pattern inside the pocket you can't really see. Got $20.70 for these. Bread and butter item. Excuse me. I say bread and butter. I don't pick up Bonobos that much. But I consider things like the $20 range kind of a bread and butter item range. $18 to $25, that's a bread and butter range for me. And basically just mean like I thrift a lot of items that will sell in that $18 to $25 range. Obviously, we all want that home run $75, $100, $150 piece, but with clothing especially, you're just not going to find it as much. You got to fill up your store with other things too, because excuse me, you have a lot of buyers out there that are willing to pay $18 for a shirt. You don't have a lot of buyers who are willing to drop $150 for a pair of shoes. So you gotta find stuff for both buyers. And I fill my store with a lot of different ranges of price points. Brand new Tommy Bahama chip shot golf pants sold for $37 plus shipping. Paid $29 for these. So I pretty much broke even. $29 at TJ Maxx. Broke even on these, but they're gone. Kind of a different style and color too. Excuse me. Going to Springfield, Missouri. That's really close. It's like 2 hours away. I was wondering why shipping was so cheap on this. All right. Next up. Check this out. Sold last night on an offer of $20. Picked this up for like $4 or less. Maybe it was like $2 or $3. It's a vintage. Well, it's not vintage. It's a retro style game. They did a remake of these, but it's based on a retro vintage game. Just this old like football game. You can see it light up there. I played with it for a little bit and I'm like, I don't know what anyone is wanting with this. And there were some sales out there that indicated it had value. But man, it's pretty basic and standard. So maybe it's just going in a collection. I don't know. But I paid $4 or $5 for it. It sold for $20 in a couple of weeks. Happy with that. Got it wrapped in bubble wrap. I think I can use this box. I think it's going to be perfect. Just because it's electronic, I want to protect it a little more. So drop it in there. I'll even put a little puff pack thing, air pack. I don't know what you call them. So again, not a really sexy flip, but $4 into, say, a $12 profit. $12.48 profit on this. So it gives me a 300% ROI, 300% return on my investment of $4. My $4 earned me 12. If I could just do that with all of my money 3 times, that would be great. That's the challenge. 300% ROI is pretty good when I'm typically operating on 200%, I would say. This next item up is a new with tags Untuck It shirt. I've got a bunch of these in my store. Started off with 600. I bought a huge pallet full of them. 600 shirts. I've sold probably 50 so far since May. Man, this fly is just bugging me. Going to PA, Pennsylvania, Burgettstown. I've never heard of Burgettstown. All right. Let's see if I can ship out this other order. Did it refresh? Okay, we're in business. Talking about the Travis Matthew international order that I had going to Mexico. Man, get off of me. I don't want to hit the mic, but this fly is just buzzing around. I don't know if you can hear it. It's like right around my mic. Really annoying. And I'm just now remembering I've shipped a few things to Mexico, and they typically want a like a customer number. So I may have to reach out to the buyer on this. I want to make sure that there's not a number in here that I can just pull real quick. I've never seen this happen before, but we'll see if this will let me print. Man, this is annoying. This stupid fly. It's making me. I'm gonna kill it when it lands. Almost. Okay. For some reason, it's making me put in this number. I've never had to do this before. One sec. I got to get the material content. Okay. And hopefully this will take care of this where I can ship it, but I'm guessing it's going to ask for this customer number. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have to do that later. I'll reach out to the customer and just, I've done this twice already. And when I've asked, they've just been like, here's my number. So I'm not sure how that works on their end, but they have a specific customer number for the buyer in Mexico. He should know it, he or she. I guess I'll show you this last item sold this morning. Actually, not the last. I've got one more after this. Sold right before the live. So I've got this 7 diamonds. You can see the 7D right there. New with tag shirt I picked up for $10 and sold for $34 this morning. That was a yellow tag TJ Maxx clearance sale, which obviously that's $24 left to take out fees and things like that. So we'll see how well I did on $10 spent. So $10 spent, I got $19.45 profit going to Mission, Kansas. Really close by. I've had some really close orders. I think 4 or 5 orders this morning that were going really close. Okay. So I'm going to reach out to the customer on this order. Got one more order that just came in, like literally right before I hit live on the video. Live. It's these boots right up here. Had these for a little bit. Happy to get these gone because they are heavy and clunky. I remember where I got these too. The brand is Gill. You want to find this brand. Maybe not in a boot, but if you can find a jacket, a bag. Gill is like a sailing brand. So they make gear for people who are on the sea, on boats. And a friend of mine, I haven't found a jacket, but a friend of mine sold a jacket that was used, I think for 150, 200, somewhere in that, maybe even more. He may have gotten like 260 for it. So it went for a lot as a used jacket. And I'd never heard of that brand up till now. So when I saw these, I'm like, oh, I know that brand, Gill. I paid $10 for these. No, less than that. $6.99. And I thought these are going to sell for really well. Obviously, I made money, but they didn't sell for what I thought they were going to go for. And we'll see if this is going to be too big. That may be too big for this. Yeah, that's going to be too big. I don't want to pay for shipping on that big of a box. So I'm going to get a box that I pay for. It's a 16 by 10 by 6. These are pretty much the only boxes I buy. This and a hat box. And it's for these occasions of shoes where get away from me, fly. I don't know if you all can see the fly, but it's annoying. Used up my tape. We'll reload over here. It's an annoying fly. This will be the last order I ship out today. See if this is going to work. This is too big. They're going to fit in there. We're going to make it work. Man, when I get off this live, this fly is dead. I'll tell you that. It is a dead fly. Doesn't know it, but its days are coming. All right, bubble wrap inside. We'll throw the boots in. Fortunately, we're not worried about it's a hard material, a hard rubber, so we're not worried about anything happening to these. Not really worried about this box getting wet. These boots are going to be going on, more likely worn for being on a boat, so I'm not too worried about them getting wet, even though this should be good protection, ample. Just over 4 pounds, 16 by 10 by 6. I charge $12.95, and it comes in at $11.49, which allows me to pay for the box that it's going in. Going to New York, New York. Great state of New York. Man, a fly will drive you crazy. Seriously, though. All right. So that's all I have today. Let's put these in. Let's get the fee real quick and see how much I made on the gills, the boots that I just shipped. So they didn't sell promoted. So 616 was my eBay selling fee on that. And we saw that they were $6.99 based on the soles on the bottom. So that puts me at $20.70 profit on those boots. They sold for $32.39 plus shipping. So I'm happy with that. $20 profit is great. It took a little longer to sell, 466 days, but you know, it happens sometimes. I got my money back and some. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. If you have, if you're free regularly on Monday mornings, I'm typically live on Monday mornings. I ship out my weekend orders. I went live today just because the weekend, Labor Day, the holiday, I mean, and yeah, so I'd love to see you on another live. If you haven't followed my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those accounts, YouTube, feel free to go over and follow those. I'm putting out content every day, 3 posts a day, 1 reel or short video a day. Tips, bolos, things I'm seeing in thrift stores, what's sold, all of it. More like what you saw here, where I'm teaching how I run my business online. So feel free to join me there where you'll get more content daily. And again, I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. And yeah, just adding to the reseller conversation. So I'm going to say goodbye here and end the video, but hopefully we'll see you next week on the next live. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you.